has the ministry of presentation and proclamation of the gospel. But under Ken's leadership, it's moved more into discipleship as well. And that's what these young men and young women will do this summer. I'll teach them Bible 101. We'll look at the Old Testament. We'll look at the New Testament. We'll look at the history of Jesus. This past weekend, we were in Talladega with a college advance. I mentioned to you about that. And I had my little huddle. And I was asking them, assume I'm a new Christian. Help me grow my faith. What would you suggest? And one young man said, I don't feel like it's my responsibility to do this. I would say you need to talk to my pastor. I said, well, son, I appreciate you saying that, but when I read Ephesians chapter 4, it says pastors are to equip the saints to do the work. And if that happened, I felt like I've done you a disservice if you can't suggest to a young Christian how to grow in their faith. And he said, all right. He said, all right, I'd start at Genesis and read all through. There's 66 books in the scriptures, 39 in the Old, 27 in the New. He said, I'd start at Genesis and read all the way through the last book. I said, that's good, but we run into a problem. There's two neighborhoods in the Old Testament that are very, very dry. One neighborhood is called Leviticus, and the other is called Deuteronomy. And what I would suggest is that we start in the New Testament and maybe read half a chapter of John. And then the next day, the next half. Third day, just keep going. And I said, you know, the book of John has like 21 chapters in it. And I said, who wrote the book of John? And they looked, and of course it's John. But then they said, one man said, John the Baptist? I said, well, no, John the Baptist is in it, but he didn't write it. And the other said, the brother of Jesus? I said, no, there's another John there. And it made me pause and think, we just take a lot of things for granted. It's that we assume people know the Bible. And reality, they love the scriptures, but they don't know it. So Bible 101, we're going to go through the Old Testament, New Testament. In fact, we're going to memorize the New Testament using gimmicks. I did not grow up in the church, so when I became a Christian, I was biblically illiterate. I didn't know anything about the Bible. And so this is my Bible. I've had it since 1972, and I wouldn't take the world for it. It's been rebound twice. All my notes are in there, and I'm super, super sensitive that I never will embarrass you in the group. I might be calling you out to say the memory verses or the books of the Bible before I ask you. So we'll do that. This is what we've heard. We've heard that you grow spiritually more in these 4 weeks than you might grow in a whole lifetime. It's an accelerated growth spurt on the scriptures. So we've got Bible 101, how to read the Bible, how to study the Bible, how to have a devotional. Second hour in the afternoon, how to share your faith, how to walk a young man or a young woman through their faith, and to help them to grow in their faith. How to work on your testimony. And this is the fun part. We have workshops where you actually break up 2 on 2 and you share your testimony in 7 minutes. And then you turn the tables, then he or she shares their testimony in 7 minutes. So we won't be able to do that. And then you'll have a lot of practice. You'll learn how to draw the plan of salvation out, not on this wall, but on a little placard. And we'll walk them through it each and every day to children. It's just an exciting time. The books that we ask you to read will be The Spiritual Disciplines of the Christian Faith by Donald Whitney. And you're going, I like to read. Well, my pastor who mentored me years ago said this, that you read to lead. And so great leaders read. And so what we want to do is encourage you to read. And I think you'll read it because you see the significance of it. In school, I think you probably read because you have to. I think this, you'll read because you want to. So the spiritual disciplines of the Christian faith, the more practical book will be the Leader You Are Meant to Be. It's an old classic we've used for 30 years. Now, Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun. So when we think we had this great discovery of ministry, if we look back, it's always been there. We just kind of rediscovered it. So that's what we're going to do in this book. For those who were interns last year, it's called Bible 201. We're going to review this one, Be the Leader. Also, Respectable Sins. This is a great book by Jerry Bridges, and it talks about being careful that we don't become judgmental or self-righteous, is that we look at ourselves before we begin to point fingers at others. It's a great book to keep us humble. It's by Jerry Bridges. I don't know if you coach, you former coach, engineer.
Baseball, softball coach.
That's why, maybe that's why I like you. I'm an old baseball coach. Maybe that's why I like you so much when I first saw you. Well, this is written by an engineer, a lay person that became a pastor. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about in Bible 201 how to defend your faith. We call it apologetics. If someone says, I don't understand why God allowed my little brother to die, or my parents to be divorced, how can a loving and holy God do something like that? Well, we're going to prepare our leaders to do that. That's year 2, though, Bible 201. Also, how to discover your spiritual gifts. So all that we're going to be in those 2 hours for those 8 weeks. And I think it'll be a great start. All of you will have a workbook to go with that teaching. But like I said, it'll be teacher to students, but also workshops where you can actually interact with each other. Any questions? I get pumped. I love doing this. And I won't put you on the spot, but most of them will have memorized the New Testament and they know how to lead a person to Christ and how to follow up a new Christian. All right? Ken?